Hola, Animigos, and welcome to Keyframers, the animated collaborative coding livestream where we bring imaginative user interfaces to life. I'm your host, Stephen Shaw.
And I'm your host, David Khourshid.
Together, we are coding compadres, animation amigos, Boolean buddies, and keyframe companions.
Yeah, so we're going to be creating an animation from scratch live, as always, using HTML, CSS, and you guessed, JavaScript?
Probably.
Question mark.
Yeah.
We are happy to answer any questions that you may have, so please reach out in the chat or comments. This is a collaborative thing for both Stephen and I, but also for you watching at home or at work or at the library or wherever you watch it.
On
we
the
don't
go,
judge.
you know?
Yeah,
we're portable.
On the go. Hopefully not in your car. Like, that's dangerous.
Unless you're not the one driving, but you know,
True.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Hey, be safe out there. Enjoy Keyframers responsibly. So yeah, we've got a pretty fun animation today. You sent this one over to me, David. What stuck out about this habit builder application by Tubic? Yet another Tubic.
Yeah, I did. And so one of the things that really caught my eye was primarily the fact that it was made by Tubic. And I love doing Tubic animations because they are super creative. Seems like I'm doing an ad for them, but yeah, they're great. They've been around for a while, you know, just busting out some really cool stuff. And so there's a few interesting things about this one. Number one, it is colorful and beautiful. Yeah. Number two, its layout, grid layout, is not perfectly perpendicular. We actually have a slight angle, and I think that that's a really unique twist on things. So, you know, you have the gradients, you have the grid. Number three, you have those stretchy rectangles, I call it. And so that's something that you can't easily translate because you have to take border radius into account. However, that's something that we have tackled in the past, and we could show you a few cool techniques for that. And then secondly, or geez, I don't know how to count. Fifthly, whatever the subsequent number
Nextly.
is. Nextly. You know, that should have been my company name. Anyway, the other thing is that when you like tap on something, there is that cool animation. I don't know if we're going to get through all of these today, but when you check something, you have that cool, like, I don't know how to call it, just like a sparkly, fuzzy, sparkly animation.
Yeah.
And also you have like going into different screens. So again, that might be a stretch goal, something that we might tackle on a different stream. But yeah, there's just a lot of really cool things in here. And that grid layout, though, that's something that I really want to focus in on.
Yeah, I think if we focus on the grid layout and the like expansion aspect of it, that's probably going to be most of our time there, and that's kind of the big interesting part here.
Right.
Yeah, I think we can get right into that. We don't have much setup happen yet. I got some of the colors plugged in and our kind of default styles overall, but nothing really to look at yet. So yeah, how do you want to approach the grid?
All right, good question. So we're going to have, you know, our app, right? And we're going to have two different views stacked on top of each other. The first one is like just the outer frame. So that includes the title, you know, where it says work habits and the panel below. And then the second one is behind that. And so we could start coding it up as a grid, shouldn't be too hard, and then tilt it.
Yeah. And
then we could work on the little squares in the animations there.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, we'll focus on the grid here. You want to just use a div for that, or unordered list, or
let's div it up.
Div it up. All right. So we'll just have like grid item times, let's see, at least 12, probably, or like, I don't know. So it's kind of 3 by, let's see. Well, I guess 4 by 4 mostly.
Yeah. So we could say it's 4 by 4, where each row of 4 is the width of the app. And then of course we could like zoom it so it's like not exactly the width of the app, but just for calculation purposes, because we also have to keep in mind that as we navigate through the days, we have to translate by, 100% or whatever multiple of 100% that ends up being in order to go to the next view. But that's how we could set up the grid over there.
Okay. Yeah.
So you are concocting some Emmett spell.
Yeah. So you probably can't see it in Collab, but as I type it, it expands it, and so I'm just let's see. Let's go ahead and expand that so you can see there. There's 16 grid items. I just added the index value in case we need that for anything. Cool. But that gives us a basic grid.
Mm-hmm. All right, I'm going to make, just so that we have a frame of reference, just the outline of the app.
Yes.
So I'm just going to say height 90 b min. That's weird. My expansions aren't working.
Uh-oh.
Very weird. With 40 b min. Outline 1 pixel solid, just whites. Let's see how that looks. It's probably not going to be centered, so we have to add some centering treatment on the body. So I have to remember to type slower in CodePen because sometimes I'm too fast for the auto completion. Right, that is a skinny iPhone, so maybe not that much. Maybe 50. I don't know. I don't own an iPhone. I don't know how big or small they're supposed to be, but that looks about right.
Yeah, it's closer. Yeah, can probably. I think a 6:9 ratio is good there. Our grid items are not square because our ratio is not really square there. But everyone, thanks for joining us.
Is there a way to make it square? How well supported is aspect ratio, for instance? Could we do that?
Yeah, so we can do aspect ratio 1:1.
Hey,
and
cool.
Yeah, it kind of
causes
some issues there, but
that's okay. I mean, like if it's not perfect, like
grid template rows. If we did it like that, does that? No, that's not gonna cut it. Grid template rows bar. If we did it that way, I wonder if that kind of forces it. Because at my current screen size, they're overflowing. Like it's doing the aspect ratio kind of in the wrong direction. Like it's forcing the width to be wider than it should be. So that's tough.
Does this work? Yes, it does. Okay, I think I successfully used the Stephen Shaw trick, the grid area trick.
Yes.
If I did it correctly. I still don't know what 1 divided by 1 means in this.
Columns and rows.
Okay. All right. So by default, it's like 1 column, 1 row. Is that what that? All right. Hey, well, that works. So I'm pretty happy about nailing that on the first try.
Yeah. Get that.
Like grid. All right, so I want work habits on the top and then that panel on the bottom. So let's see. Grid templates, rows, could say.
Oh, so you're doing the kind of overlay there. That's good. All right, so for our grid here, you can do a little transform, translate, or transform rotate, like -1 degree. Probably needs to be more than that. Much more. Pretty good.
Oh, you are rotating it at the get-go. All right.
Why not? It's
yeah, that's true. That's true.
I mean, it really doesn't take much to do kind of offset layouts like that. with just a little bit of transform rotate.
Yeah, that's true.
Percent.
Okay, so background is the purple. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. The background looks like maybe it's my monitor, but it looks like it has a linear gradient on the body background, but it does not
appear that way, but it's just a solid.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see, dot panel, background, there, background. Okay, so that panel is going to take up the bottom third of the screen. I'm going to give it a border radius. That's radius of, I don't know what units we're working. I always default to rems, but you know.
Yeah.
It'll do for now.
Let's see.
Okay, so yeah, we have that. And I'm thinking what else we need. We're probably going to, you know what's interesting? We could probably do a checkbox hack over here.
For
like
expansion.
when you click a day, so Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, it translates the grid.
Oh, right. Yeah, I wasn't.
If you want to do that,
I wasn't going to get too deep into that.
Yeah. Okay. So
aspect
I'll
of
just
it.
make them. I'll make them buttons instead. Yeah. I'm just going back to like some of the first animations I did with Tubic. I tried to do CSS only because I was terrible at JavaScript. I still am, but I was back then too. And so that's when I discovered like checkbox, radio hacks, things like that. But yeah, we won't get into that.
Should give us offset. It's there. All right, got a colorful grid happening.
Nice.
Up the order a little bit.
Template. Columns. Repeat 7. Okay, cool. So we have our weeks. And let's make it, how tall do we want it?
Line self.
Doesn't matter.
Top. Yeah. And go ahead and set overflow hidden on our body there.
All right, so
do you have anything? Okay. Content. Say header. Here gradient to bottom. Var background. Parent. Let's give a little bit of a fade there. You can say here. Go here.
Just check the chat for the first time. A couple people saying hi. Hi
Yes.
back to you both.
Hello. It's pretty nice there. Let's see. Do like 30%. Make it more of a fixed value there. It's helpful. Less of a gap. Yeah, that's helpful. And so one thing we can kind of do is go ahead and set opacity like 0.5. Transition opacity seconds linear, and hover focus 1. oh, we should set, let's see, do the hidden and everything beneath visibility visible. This gives us kind of transparency for cursors. So the middle area is still working with hovers and everything. I can speed that up a bit. Let's see. Referencing the animation again. Yeah, so there's like an active kind of setting, or like an active class that helps indicate which ones are expanded. So do DataActive for now. I can say DataActive.
Okay.
That should.
All right, so we have our date buttons, we have stuff on the top. All that's set up pretty nicely.
Oh, it needs the ampersand there. There we go. All right. Okay.
Yeah, the expanding is definitely going to be pretty interesting.
Yeah.
How should we tackle that?
I mean, I think we're gonna have to do some translating. But it's hard because since they're not since the rows aren't separate right now.
All right, so your DataActive true, those are
the expanded ones.
Yeah, because like the one with actual text.
Yeah, at the very beginning of the animation, those are kind of already expanded.
All right, so what I'm going to do, wow, where did my cursor go? So maybe you could read my mind, but I'm thinking just a really simple sliding layers type of thing could work here.
For the expanded content?
Mm-hmm. So like the inner has all of the text, so I'm just gonna type text in here. And so for the DataActive true, whoa, I didn't mean for that to stretch up like that. But for DataActive true, it's going to span 2 columns, not 1.
Yeah.
But it's going to look like it's only spanning 1. So that's the illusion. And then
why is that so expanded? Stretched.
I don't know. Yeah. That's pretty funny. So grid. Does that work? Is my grid thing right? Yeah, cool. All right, so span 2. I'm just adding a span 2 for grid column. And I think that works. Or maybe I messed something up. I'm not sure.
No, DataActive.
Or is there a different way to do that? I'm not sure.
Well, yeah, so that's what we'll figure out there. Moving that down there so the hover state doesn't also do that and cause shifts.
Okay.
Let's see. Grid column.
So now we have overflow hidden. And so what we could do is translate X this negative 50%, just because we know it's spanning 2. And the inner, so dot grid item inner, we translate X 50%. So we're going the other way. That almost worked. All we have to do is put the background on the grid item inner. Or we could do it on a pseudo element instead, so that way all of the grid items have the same treatment. Let me try that real quick. Feel free to stop me if I'm completely out of line.
Well, I'm just noticing the gaps in the grid, and
so the calculation might be off, you're thinking?
Well, so I think it has to do just with our aspect ratio stuff. I'm not sure what's causing the gap. Oh, because it's that particular item is at the end. So, like for instance, take off the.
Hey, sort of worked.
GridColumn. Okay, yeah, you're doing our like pseudo element there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if we untranslate this, that's where it would end up, and then translate this to 5%. So basically both of them go to 0. That's how that works. The border radius is a little bit funny there, but might have a way around that.
Yeah. Right now that's happening. What are you doing? Okay. Before they're both translated. Right. So I think both need the border radius is the there.
Yeah.
Well, hidden. Didn't you already add overflow? Hidden. Oh, you did to DataActive, so that's fine. Yeah, in the chat, sneaky positioning, nice name. Says the squares ratio is looking broken. Yeah, that has to do with the content that's showing up in there. Not positive yet on the right approach for that. We'll get there. There we have border radius. We do need border radius on both. There, David. We can say border radius.
Yeah, I'm also curious as to why the before is not spanning the entire width of the grid item. It definitely should.
Cover. Well, so you're just targeting that. You need also and before that, right? Hey. Oh, it's just going to be and before. Yeah.
Cool. So I guess we need to that. Wow, these are some ugly selectors.
Yeah, that's why I try not to do
but it works.
pseudos. But yeah, that's kind of working. Yeah, that's correct.
That's nice.
Yeah.
And we didn't have to do math for the border radius or anything. Cool.
Yep. So far that's working. So yeah, we're essentially creating sliding layers where the main element here, DataActive, has the border radius and overflow hidden. So that's this right edge that you're seeing because it's translated left 50%, and everything inside is translated right 50%. So that's this left edge here that you see, and then when it hovers, we've got transform none, and that gives the expansion kind of effect. Why is... Oh, yeah. No, so this is actually good. Let's change this to display grid and justify content. Center. We can set everything to
Oh. GridItemInner. Okay, yeah.
That should help. What happened to all of our other squares? Disappear?
Oh, sheesh. I don't know. All I did was add a color, I promise.
Grid template, I think. 100%.
So let's see, the before has a grid area layer. Yeah, what did that?
Let's see. Template is to be.
I'm inspecting. Let's see what happened. Before, oh yeah, the before is now shrinking to nothingness. So that might be one of the problems.
Yeah. Yeah. Grid, like the way grid collapses randomly, is always difficult to debug.
Yeah.
This was supposed to simplify things, but
yeah.
So does the let me open a new window here and do some debug inspection. So yeah, looking at the grid items, full size, but the pseudo element is collapsed. It's there.
I noticed that the box moves as you like change the content. So I don't know. Maybe try undoing what you did.
Let's see. Let's just adjust a little bit. Grid template 1. Yeah. Okay. Fine.
Because I promise you it wasn't me.
Oh, I think I know what it is. Get it? No. Oh, come on. Content, background with 100% percent. All right, fine. Go back to flex and position absolute. Yeah, we'll just have to solve the other stuff in a way.
Now my yeah, my sliding layers are a little bit weird now.
Justify content start. That's a possibility. Good. No.
This is fun.
So yeah, so we'll just leave that flex. That's fine. Whatever. So yeah, why is the transforming off now? Is it because
I do not know. That is a very good question.
Let's see. So GridItemInner, do you have a that that's width 100%. Because if it's not the right size, then that explains it. What are you doing with the after there?
Just making a pseudo checkbox. Pseudo in the, you know, sense that it's a pseudo element and that it doesn't work at all. So
perfect.
Yeah, but man, trying to figure out this animate or like this transform issue here. So ideally the GridItemInner should be the exact same size as the grid item, and so that's how this whole thing works. Right, but that doesn't
seem to be what's happening. Justify content. We don't really need that. That should be fine to leave off.
Oh, there we go. Nice.
I think that's all it was. Oh, there it is. Okay, can leave that there. Simplify a little bit. Okay. All right. So are we going to need to... Again. So the issue overall doing the grid span there is it knocks items to the next row, I believe. Depending on what is currently active.
Okay, so one potential solution would be to not have it span 2 and then just absolutely position stuff. It's an idea.
Let's see. So there's a few approaches. We could force rows by doing actual row wrappers. That gives...
that sounds painful.
Yes. But
yeah, you know what? I'm gonna bring in my trusty pencil and paper. Figure this out. Okay.
So doing row wrapping, or
that could work.
Kind of strictly enforcing another grid. But yeah, like with the expanding,
that very well could work. Okay, I have an idea. So wherever I did span 2, where was that? Okay, yeah. So you see DataActive GridColumn span 2. You're saying that's causing problems, which I tend to agree with. So if we remove that, and then so everything inside here instead will be twice as wide and absolutely positioned, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Okay, so we would say width 200%.
Whoa. Bless you.
That did the opposite of what I wanted.
Yeah, that's
but
odd.
That is a really cool effect. So just not the effect that we want. How did that happen?
Let's see. Item inner or
I don't know how to
active. And is it here? Let's take off the transform translate. See, I think what's happening is our item is no longer full. Like the width is kind of collapsing on it. Oh, the amount that it's translating is changing because the size of the content is changing.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So yeah. in theory, let me just try this. 25% translate X. No. So translate X 25% theory. Well, let's just do, let's do no translating to see.
Right, and let me kill the overflow hidden just so that we can see stuff. So
yeah, I gotta kill it up here too.
Yeah,
that's gonna mess with our border radiuses.
That's okay. So the GridItemInner and the before. All right, so we're pretty close here. That should be yeah, which it is. It's almost twice as wide. Well, it is twice as wide, but we didn't account for the
I'm working on that.
The gap.
So we say it's not working. Is that not working? Oh, an extra. R gap times 10. Why isn't it actually okay?
Oh, too far.
It's 2, 3, 4.
What's the right number? 4. 4 feels right.
Yeah, so I think it just has to do with the difference in percentages. We're now kind of doubling it, so it's technically times 2 times 2.
Okay,
so what's happening there?
All right, so I think we'll also have to do some math over here for these transforms, but yeah.
Translate x at 50%. We technically want that to be 0. Wait, we want this to be 50 and this to be negative 50. Right. Negative 100%. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then this.
Yeah. So I'm applying the overflow hidden to the GridItemInner, and so that way we're only cutting off the before. And so that way, instead of this, or well, we keep that, and before, the transform is actually going to be the opposite. It's going to be translate x 50%. So now instead of the main players being the GridItem and GridItemInner, it's going to be GridItemInner and before, if that makes sense.
Maybe.
I'll explain. So I'm going to see some inner. So we're going to move the transform, the negative 50% transform to just the GridItemInner, and not sure why that's not updating. So the GridItemInner is going to be, actually no, sorry, this is going to be 50%. Before it's going to be negative 50%. See how that looks. Okay, so now, if we do our overflow hidden treatment over here. Oh, sorry. Wow, I'm confusing myself, but the the before, yeah, this is getting pretty confusing. So hold on, I could solve this. Some inner before.
There we go.
Yeah. So
visual glitch.
So let's see, and then all right. So I'm doing something sort of tricky here. Okay. So what I'm doing is the before for the DataActive, we're not going to have that anymore. Instead, it's going to belong to GridItemInner, and that's because GridItemInner is going to be the one that's doing the overflow hidden for the before. Yeah. So when we hover, okay, yeah. I promise I know what I'm doing. All right, so now item inner before. All right, so now hover over the animate and you could get an idea of what I'm doing. Sort of. Make sense? So, all right, last thing we need to do is make the GridItemInner full height, and then we're good to go.
Yeah, should be as easy as, where is height 100% here. Go. Play flex. Center.
It's going all over the place.
It is. Grid.
There we go. Cool. Ah, all right. Well, now that that's out of the way.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun. I'm glad that we did that. Is fair gap.
Okay, let's make sure we specify.
Yeah, and now it's working with the gap and everything, so we're good there. Just gotta do our border radiuses and all of that. So
that should, the border radius should be good now.
Yep. Beautiful. All right. That was tricky.
Yeah. So it's just going to expand over another item. Is that the plan?
Yeah. Let me look back on the original animation. I mean, even if
it shifts everything, like it's.
All right, and I mean, we could like just manually specify that, like, or actually, yeah, we could just do and hover plus dot grid item and then just move it. I wish you could like target or select elements of the same row.
Yeah, see that's why I was leaning towards row wrappers and then doing like some just like display flex so that they don't wrap around, and then we can just shift them off to the side using like the child selector or the sibling selectors.
All right, so last thing left to do is just somehow copy pasta this for like 3 dates or something like that, and if we want to do that,
I would lean towards let's get the like kind of click selection working, and then and like doing offsetting. That's kind of what I'm more interested in, like shifting items. Shifting the other items versus like the pagination of sorts. All
right, that makes sense. That could be for future us.
Or a challenge to the readers.
Yeah, hey, feel free to fork our pens. That's what it's called, forking pens, and try it yourself.
Yes. Okay, I got that. What happened to our grid width? So do you think we should do row, just row wrappers, every 4 items, wrap in a row?
Yeah, yeah. If you want to do that and that won't mess up things too much, then
Yeah,
I say go for
think
it.
that's the simplest approach. So every 4 items, we'll just have a row parent. Row. Yep. Row. Yeah, this is just where selectors start to fail.
True.
12. Oh, there we go. All right, and so yeah, back up here. What we can do is so let's apply this to row. Thing like that. Yeah, it's not too bad there. Got most of it. Let's see, 12. 10. Oh, there was grid item that got deleted. That was my bad. Do that. And let's see. That should work. All right, so now all we really have to do under DataActive, we can add the adjacent sibling selector. Is that right? Is that what it's called?
What were you referring to?
The tilde.
Oh yeah, that adjacent sibling selector. I used to call them adjacent until I realized that that was the completely wrong pronunciation. So it's adjacent.
Yeah. So yeah, we have to factor in the gap as well, but with a little transform translate, should get it there. So did I mess something up? Gap times 2. Do wrong there. Oh, plus %. I don't know why it's 2 times 2. Yeah, and we can simplify that by saying say gap. Okay, gap offset is calc r gap 2 times 2. And that'll reduce the amount of duplicate math we have to do, which is always a good thing. Okay. And yeah, I guess that only needs to happen on the hover, which is where we have the other items. We can apply this to just grid item in general. But something is messed up. Is that your code or mine? It's mine.
Only mine.
Always my code. I'm missing a parentheses. That's the toughest part of. Okay, there we go. Look at that. Beautiful. Now we do have the content kind of overflowing there, so we can always just have the content hidden. Well, no, can't, can we? Is the text is overflowing for you, right?
The
like animate and the 0.3 seconds for 3 iterations is overflowing.
Yeah.
And the little checkbox too.
Although my checkbox is a little bit wrong. I have to figure that out. Oh, that's so cool though. I could only get the checkbox to work.
Yeah, there's
I don't know
ways
why
to
it
fake it.
doesn't. Yeah, but it should be hidden. I mean, we have overflow hidden on GridItemInner.
Right, but that's on GridItemInner. The after is on the element itself, isn't it?
Oh
no,
yeah.
No, you did it on GridItemInner. Well, GridItemInner is the full width and everything. Now we're just doing some translate.
Okay.
Bits.
I'm gonna. You know what? I'm gonna. Oh man, I wish Emmet worked for multiple cursors. Okay, no, it's not working.
Not quite yet.
Cool. So, I'm going to put everything in a habit content. Not working. I see Shaw's cursor, so I know he's watching me struggle. Here.
That's the best part.
Yeah, the habit content, that's going to also be in the same cutoff thing as, well, actually, no. Is it actually cutting off the text then? Now I'm in doubt that it really is.
Well, since we're doing sliding layers, like we've got to slide the container over and then the inner content over the opposite way.
Mm-hmm.
It would certainly be helpful if like the background was still on the container there. I don't really know why we couldn't do that. We did it before. Was it because of the overflow?
I don't know. All right, so yeah, what you're saying is that the inner is the full width already, so
yeah,
can't really hide something, like halfway. So thinking. What we could do as an idea is actually more in line with the original animation, and that's like just fade everything in once it expands. So we're sort of faking it, but it's also what the original animation does. So the original animation doesn't actually show the content until you tap it.
Yeah.
So yeah, we could do that. And then now that we have everything in that habit content thing, we could just set the opacity to 0 for the habit content.
Yeah, hold on. I broke something, so let me reset it.
Yeah. No worries.
Go.
I think you fixed it.
There we go. Now it's working.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, so now when we hover over the habit content, the DataActive on grid item, we are going to set the opacity to the here, let's see.
So many nested selectors.
I know, it's terrible.
Yeah.
So basically when we hover, then actually, I'm going to do this. Constant opacity 0. And see, CSS variables are actually really useful for defeating just really messy nested selectors.
Yeah.
Because you could do CSS variables, and then now it doesn't matter where that inner selector is. We could just reference that CSS variable. So for example, for .habit content, I'm saying I don't care what my parent is doing. I just know that my opacity is going to be var content opacity and transition opacity 0.3 seconds, 0.3 seconds. Yes, whatever. Yeah, see? So just shows and hides.
Yeah, and we can do the same for the before. And then the little checkbox fades in and out too.
Yeah, and also we could, this is why I really like CSS variables, because notice that it also slides in. So we could say transition, and I only have to make one declaration here. I could say transition, transform, or translate X calc. We're going to say it's going from, I'm going to say negative 50% to 0. So when it is on 0, it should be negative 50%. So, but when it's on 1, it should be 0. All right, so I have to do some math here. Hold on. 1 minus for constant opacity, and now we should really change that.
Oh
boy. Trust me, I don't know what I'm doing. All right, times 50%. All right, wrong direction, but I was close. Yes, there we go. So some funny math there, but it works.
Yeah, that's nice. It's very nice. Okay, let's put this after on habit content. Can we do that? That work?
Try that. Well, it's in the wrong place, but again, it's just a matter of making habit content the full height.
Yeah.
Or full height and width. I'm not sure why it's shrunken.
Well, the padding is on the parent there.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, just need to change those up, and we should be good to go.
Something like that. This is all very, very messy. There's so much opportunity to clean up here, but that's it's working. Let's see. Take off that. But yeah, there we go. Nice. Yeah, I don't know why our habit content is not. Okay, there we go. 0.
So grab.
Yeah.
500 works too. Cool.
Yeah, this is not a perfect UI by any means.
Right. But it is good enough.
So tricky with like the way things overflow in an app, like making sure that it doesn't go off the edge when it expands, all that business.
Right.
They handle it. Yeah. So they're doing some very specific like offsetting and the way like the infinite grid is set up. It's different. But yeah, that's I think that's sufficient for for kind of a rough approximation. Let me just a little bit. Whoa.
Sorry, playing around with this a little bit too much. So yeah, there we go. Just making a nice little phone type of thing.
Nice. Okay.
Cool.
Yeah. So Wow. What do we summarize from this?
I would say definitely the layer madness that we have going on here. Like, just talk about it. And also your row pushing in a performance way. Silky smooth row pushing.
Yeah. Wow. The responsiveness of this is not great. This is why locking into like one specific unit with M or something would be helpful here. But
right.
we're all right. All right.
Yeah.
So you were saying, I think kind of the layer offsetting is the main thing here. So we can kind of cover how we're pushing the inner content and the other grid items with all that nesting there.
Yeah.
Let me do just some slide cleanup here. DataActive. That. That focus state there. All right, clean that up and do a nice format CSS, and everything's still working. Cool. All right, so those of you watching live, watching the full video, stay with us. We're gonna kind of do a summary of the technique here, the lessons learned. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. Hola, and amigos, and welcome to Keyframers. I'm Stephen Shaw.
And I'm David Khourshid.
Let's take a quick look at this technique from the Expanding Grid Habit Builder that we were mocking up from this design by Tubic. Really cool interface with a lot of fun little elements, but specifically this grid expansion effect. So here's our just kind of approximation. Some work with the viewport units and things like that to be worked out, but we got it set up with our grid here. We have different container elements for each row, and that'll be important later. But we have we have 4 grid items per row, and then a few of the items have this DataActive true that kind of highlights them and then gives them that hover effect. Like the original animation. We have a error. Okay, there we go. So the basic setup here, the grid item has the grid item inner that contains the background. It contains the content and helps handle a lot of that animation. So if we take a look at that here. So we've got our grid item that's active. It's opacity 1. No translating, that's not needed anymore. And it's got a slightly higher z-index. And so the grid item inner is going to be width 200% with a slight addition for the gap. So there's like a 2% gap. So we have a calculation happening there to make sure that it's full width for 2 kind of columns. If that works right. And we're sliding those over on hover. So the grid item inner before is our background. Grid item inner is the content. Yeah, when we hover, we're just removing the transforms. Right?
Yeah. In a complicated way, that's basically what's going on.
We had to kind of rework this a lot of different ways, kind of rewrapping things and doing things with different approaches. But basically that's it. So we've got the grid item inner that's got the background and the content within it. Whenever we hover, or whenever we're not hovered, so it's got overflow hidden, and this background is offset so that it's cut off and has the right border radius there. And then whenever it hovers, both of the layers kind of slide into place. And then we're offsetting the items next to it. So like this item here is offset when we hover it by using this adjacent sibling selector. So that's why we have them wrapped in the rows, so that each one can just kind of push the ones after it off to the side. Will you walk us through the content opacity thing?
Yeah, sure. And that's actually probably poorly named. It should be content shown or something like that. So the idea here is to have some sort of scoped variable that indicates whether the content is shown or not. So by default, we have content opacity 0. And then again, pretend that it's called content shown. And over here, we have content opacity to 1 when we're hovering over it. Now we're using that in habit content. And you see, by using a CSS variable, we don't have to nest selectors or try to handle that in the parent. Instead, we could just reference that CSS variable from pretty much anywhere, or like it coming from pretty much anywhere. So we don't care where this variable came from. So over here, we're just setting opacity to that opacity, which remember, it's either 0 or 1. But now we could do a few more things with that. We could also do a transform on the actual habit content. And so over here, the math is a little bit tricky, but here's how it works out. We want it to be 50% to the side, to the left, if it's not being shown, and we want it to move to translate to 0, so no translation when the opacity is 1. And so that's what this little expression does here. So
essentially inverting the value.
Yeah. And so whenever you see that 1 minus in a calc expression, just think of inversions. And so we're basically inverting that. So 1 minus 1 is 0. So when it's shown, we have 0 times negative 50%, which is 0. However, if it is 0, then 1 minus 0 is 1. And so 1 times negative 50% is negative 50%. So we get our intended transform from negative 50% to 0. And we could also apply that to the after over here. So you see how versatile this is, and how much CSS we avoid writing just by using a variable instead of nesting selectors.
Yes, and sorry about the visual glitches here. We've got some cleanup that's needing to happen to get things properly lined up. Where did our background go? Where's our background gone? Are you seeing that?
So yeah, I changed it to white a while ago, and there was a syntax error, and I was freaking out because it wouldn't let me fix it. But I just wanted to make the background white, but the app background should be that dark purple.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I see.
So that's my fault. I do apologize.
Yeah, I think we had a syntax error for a very long time, so all the changes we were making didn't matter.
So I'm here sweating profusely, like, oh no, we are live and this is happening. But yeah.
Nice. So yeah, this is just one small part of this fantastic animation. There's obviously so much more to it, but we wanted to try and get this done in as simple as possible of a way, and I think we're getting there. Probably need another hour on stream to clean it up, but
yeah, for sure.
But yeah, the idea is solid, and it kind of goes back to all the sliding layer techniques that we do all the time. You're essentially just shifting around the contents inside of a box to just reveal a smaller portion of it, and by sliding them around at the same time, you get the effect of expansion, since actual expansion in CSS is a bit of a no-no.
It's costly. Yeah.
So yeah, that's about it for this. Will you close this out, David?
Sure thing. So you can watch the full process of creating this animation for a deeper dive into each technique that we did on the full live stream linked right below. Leave us a comment if you have any questions.
That's right. Our show is supported by our sponsors, CodePen at codepin.io, CSS Tricks at css-tricks.com, Stately at stately.ai, and viewers like you. You can pledge at patreon.com/keyframers and subscribe to our channel for more great content. We've got links available below. That's all for today. Thanks so much for watching. Adios, amigos.
Adios.